All right, y'all. It's been an amazing year for all of us real American patriots. Tons to be excited and grateful for. We whooped 75 million liberals' butts in landslide fashion through the election. Thank God we were able to come out on the other side of a 4-year dumpster fire. Thanks to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we came out on the other side of that victorious with our sanity still intact. And we know Trump is about to reclaim the Oval Office come January 20th and hopefully unites and leads us into prosperous times again. And most importantly, we know that despite anything that happens here on earth, Jesus Christ is King of Kings and Lord of Lords forever. So keeping with that Merry Christmas spirit, I figured what better way to maintain the jolliness than to put together a gift that just keeps on giving. Here's a montage of CNN meltdowns featuring my man Scott Jennings absolutely demolishing his colleagues at Clown News Network or Commie Nonsense Network, whichever y'all prefer to label him as. Either way, hit that like button if you think Scott deserves a big old raise for having to listen to these fools every day. Let's get it poppin'.
I heard what you're saying about X. I saw a survey this week. It's now the most ideologically balanced user platform.
Scott,
of any platform.
stop. It's too early. I just sat down. I've only been here for 2 minutes. You cannot continue to say
the show, but
you cannot say that. That's not the case. Who's the source of that?
What I find, we reported it on this network.
Look at this. The party ID among those who regularly use X/Twitter for news. Back in 2022, 65% of those who regularly use Twitter/X for news were Democrats. Just 31% were Republicans. Look at where we are today. Just a completely different picture. Now it's basically split between Democrats at 48%, Republicans at 47%. And what I should note, Mr. Berman, is this new overall makeup matches the overall electorate far better.
There's still a litmus test of journalism that you have to pass. You can't come on TV and just make up things and say things. That happens on X. Please don't give me the eyebrow furrow as if you don't know what I'm talking about. It happens often on X. I can go and say the color is blue and I will be met with so many disrespectful remarks. No one's regulating the N-word. No one's regulating the criticism. No one is regulating how people are treated.
How much government regulation of the First Amendment are you for?
Let me tell you something. If I came on here and I just started calling you all kind of names, do you think the bosses would let me continue to do that?
I mean, it happens to me occasionally. I don't know if you watch the show.
Why is she being bullied?
Why is that wrong?
Why is she being bullied for acknowledging something that's smart, truth, and factual?
Well, a couple things. Number one, whether you're an athlete or anyone else, if I hear you use the phrase "my truth," I immediately then discount everything else you say because there isn't my truth or your truth. There's just the truth. And when you start using phrases like that, it tells me that
not true.
Your brain has been captured by something that I don't really respect.
That's not true.
Number two.
That's not true.
Number two, the attention the league got this year was amazing, and it was all because of her. She is an amazing player. The arenas were full when she played in them. The TV ratings were up when she was on television. That's undeniable. But, the league still lost like $40 million this year. And it's never made money. And to me, when you're talking about having respecting people who built something. What did they build? A league that loses money every year? She has the capacity.
What do you mean, what did they build? What do you mean, what did they build?
What kind of a business did they build?
And the reason why it's still up and still running, whether it's losing money or not, is because of these black women who are in this.
Isn't it because of the investors?
No, Scott, stop it. You stop it now.
It's not. I was in Dickey's arena.
Who pays for it?
I was in Dickey's arena. Let me just say.
Democrats who say, in private meetings, I've seen Joe Biden do cartwheels and handstands while doing trigonometry while solving all the nation's problems. We now know that every single person who said that has been lying to the American people. One day Donald Trump couldn't hold a glass of water and we had like every medical person coming out of the woodwork. Should we have the 25th Amendment? Joe Biden could barely walk up the stairs. I would argue.
No proof that tech companies colluded to do this. This is nonsense, and he knows it. No, I'm sorry.
There was a major institutional effort to suppress this.
Dozens and dozens of them.
Was the New York Post thrown off Twitter?
They were, and then they... Scott, let me try again.
This story off Twitter.
Scott,
let's let Kara finish, because she's actually done. She's done the work.
It's really hard to deal with you.
You would insult me? Go ahead.
No.
If you were going to talk to Democrats from your perspective, and go easy, but what would you pick out and advise them? Where did it go wrong?
Well, I think the Democratic Party, in the eyes of a lot of working class voters, in the eyes of a lot of men who overwhelmingly turned out for Trump in this election, kind of view the Democratic Party as a professional fainting society. We're offended by everything. We don't, have our eye on the real ball here. If you called Kentucky Fried Chicken and said, "I'd like to interview Colonel Sanders," now his face is on the bucket.
He doesn't make the chicken anymore. In fact, he's not even alive anymore. This is what the Democrats are asking people to do. Vote for the face on the... He was fine and he's strong and then he's fine today. Nobody believes that. And I just think at some point, then why isn't he running?
Yeah. It's organic. The entire Kamala Harris campaign has been organic. And so now we're...
What? Organic. This is the literal most manufactured presidential campaign ever. She didn't even run. Well, quite a few people will vote for Harris, so I think we should all open up a head examination. Doctor's office will have plenty of people to...
In all those categories.
A lot of men think Democrats care more about dudes who want to become women than dudes who just want to be dudes.
Well,
It's pretty apparent the disdain with which they hold half of the country in.
It's not true.
That's crazy, Scott.
I'm sorry. I'm just reading the journalism. I'm pro-journalist here. I'm reading the journalism about Hunter Biden running the ship here. She's like a true double threat. You know, she's terrible on her feet when she gets unexpected questions, and simultaneously, she can't even answer the expected questions.
I mean, we need to get back to talking about Donald Trump and his performance and all the issues that are at stake and the contrast. This has been...
I agree.
You guys are having a great
How can we stop talking about it? It's only the commander-in-chief of the United States we're talking about. He's not just a candidate.
Which is why we need to be talking about Donald Trump and all the things that he's done and how he wants to be a dictator and how he wants to thinks Roe versus Wade is the greatest thing that he ever did, how he wants to give your billionaire tax friends a tax cut and thinks January 6th was a great thing.
You give me too much credit. I wish I had some billionaire friends. You got colleagues, public and private, who want Joe Biden to step down. You've got a lot of colleagues in your conference who want him to get out of the way. And what they're really saying is, we don't have confidence in him to lead for the next 4 years, which really means they don't have confidence in him to lead today. This is not a campaign problem. This is a White House problem. There are real questions about whether he's acting independently. He said, by the way, in his interview with Stephanopoulos the other night, he wanted to do 3 things. Restore decency. Now he's got Hunter Biden running the White House senior staff meetings. He said he wanted to do something for the middle class.
For Hunter Biden's not running the White House.
That's crazy, Scott.
I'm sorry. I'm just reading the journalism. I'm pro-journalist here. I'm reading the journalism about Hunter Biden running the ship here. He said he wanted to help the middle class. They're being ravaged by record inflation. And he said he wanted to unite the country, and he is the most divisive, unpopular president in the modern era. He has failed by his own standards, and now his own party is petrified that you're headed for a historic wipeout in the fall. You know, what's a mistake you've made? Nothing. What's a weakness you have? Nothing. What's the first law you want to pass? Nothing. What's a policy difference between you and Joe Biden? Nothing. Over and over and over. Empty, empty, empty. If she were an animal, she'd be a duck-billed platitude. But look, it's a total... In Walls himself, who gave the most disastrous response to a question about his own dishonesty about being in Tiananmen Square that I've ever heard. Effectively, what he has said is, sorry, guys, I'm too dumb to tell the truth. Fabrications in his own resume. And his answer was essentially, me no understand words good. I mean, is a buffoon.
Kamala Harris and Tim Walz believes is that it's none of your business what women do with their body. And so stay out of our doctor's offices and stay out of our bedrooms.
Well, I guess I'll have to speak up for the babies. They're not here to speak for themselves. Lord have mercy. I mean, he should have never run for re-election. Mike is exactly right. When he got asked about regrets, the fact that he didn't say, I regret that 13 American service members lost their lives in Afghanistan, to me, that he can't muster the courage to say that now is a disgrace. Beyond that, he's leading office in disgrace. I mean, you get less than 20% of the American people now that think the country's on the right track. That's a lower number than it even was on Election Day. And what's happened since Election Day? He pardoned his son, Hunter. He commuted the sentences of a bunch of evil killer thugs on federal death row. Not all of them, just the ones that he wanted to. Didn't even make a principled stand on that. And then he went on vacation, which is where he is right now. This is a failed, disgraced president, and he has never, ever owned up to what happened in Afghanistan and the role that that played in destroying those families' lives and destroying his own presidency. When Afghanistan happened, he went under 40, she went under 40, and they really lived there until the end of the presidency. He's still there.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because he ran and told us that the adults were back in charge. And that was the opposite.
Yeah, they
of
were
that.
because Donald Trump was a child.
And you know what else?
Yeah.
And you know what else?
The
fact that they wouldn't give these 13 service members' families the time of
bullshit,
day.
Dude.
The time of day.
I'm sorry, but Donald Trump hates veterans. He called them suckers and losers. He did. He absolutely, despite he has his whole life. He has his entire life.
I know you're super emotional. I just.
Of course I am. I'm terrified.
I'm telling you the political reality is that when they made that decision
It doesn't matter.
When
you don't admit
when they made that
Donald Trump
decision.
hates veterans. You don't admit it. You deny a man, Chief John Kelly, a Marine. You deny. You say he lied.
You're still campaigning.
You say he lied. It's not over. It'll never be over.
I want to hear what
It'll never be over. You wish.
There are 1.3 to 1.6 million illegal immigrants in this country today who have already received deportation orders from a court. You can start there. There's another population, as Mark said, that have either committed violent crimes in the United States or committed violent crimes where they came from. You can also do that. That has nothing to do with the people in your neighborhood, has nothing to do with the person in your office, and has nothing to do with whatever the hell you're talking about. It has to do with getting people out of the country who do not belong.
How are you going to deploy the military? Give me how exactly you would deploy an active duty military unit to respond to this crisis.
I would use the military in conjunction with local officials,
what does that look
local
like?
law enforcement, county sheriffs, people who know their communities, because I assume a lot of the local sheriffs and jailers are going to be the people who end up housing some of these folks before they are deported. But there has to be
What's the task and purpose? What's the mission for that young private? What is he actually going to be tasked to do? Guard a gate? Or is he going to be investigating?
I don't know. I wasn't elected
But you're sitting here on CNN saying we should do it. I think you should think out a little bit more about what they actually should be required to do.
Do not belong.
It sounds real good.
One at a time. Scott, quickly.
There are millions of people who came into the country illegally, who have already received deportation orders, or who have committed some other crime while they've been here. The fact that you want to leave them in place is mind-boggling.
That is not what I said. That is not what I said.
I know your favorite pastime is to come out here and talk over me, but just please.
I care about the facts. I care about the facts.
The reality is, if you talk to anybody in the energy business, if you talk to anybody in
he says things that are wrong, and I interrupt him and correct him because our job is to inform our audience.
I'll just wait.
Hang on 1 second.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Finish
No.
your point.
Look, I play this game every time we come out here. The legitimate answer is, he's going to do stuff on energy. He's going to take regulatory shackles off of the energy producers. If you talk to anybody in the energy business who produces, refines, deals with pipelines, this administration, Democrats in Congress, have put shackles on what they can do.
Then why is energy production at a record high?
If you take the shackles off, the prices will go down.
No,
it should help.
No.
I guess what I'm wondering.
There are big fancy college words called oligarchy, plutocracy, that folks tonight might want to look up. It's called rule by rich folks. And that's what we're dealing with. A bunch of rich folks, two rich people threw a fit online and threw the government upside down. That is not good for America. Now, did the bill go from big to little? What happened is that the bipartisan deal that got struck by elected officials of our country were overthrown by two billionaires throwing a fit, and it's not even January.
Scott, what's your take on that?
Well, if Van is concerned about unelected officials running the government, I would invite him to review the last 4 years of the Biden administration and maybe pick up the Wall Street Journal this week. We've apparently had a president that's so diminished that his staff has been hiding it from the American people and making key decisions on behalf of our government, despite never having been elected to anything at all. So if you're concerned about it tonight, maybe take a look over the last 4 years. Look, I think ultimately all's well that ends well. The government did not shut down. We're not in any kind of crisis over the holidays here. And when the Republicans get sworn in January and Trump comes to the office on January the 20th, they're going to have to come together as a team and decide, are we going to work together or not? That's ultimately how you get things done in a legislative body.
When it's a white guy, we search for a reason and valorize him and make him a hero. When he's just a violent criminal who did a violent thing, he's a thug.
We are not searching for a reason to make him a folk hero.
Thank you.
The left is searching for a reason to make him a folk hero.
Joe Rogan thinks he's a folk hero.
When I see Democratic politicians do the perfunctory, well, violence is never the answer, but you can see why people are mad. Yes, I believe people on the left, and you see it online, they are searching for a reason and want to turn this person in, and they want to into a folk, and they want to justify violence to change a system they don't like.
And your ability to shovel right-wing junk into a funnel and make it into something that is crazy. But
Donald Trump is trying to send a message to the Chinese, and he's also trying to send a message to everyone else in the hemisphere that I'm not going to put up with this encroachment. Now, what is true is that China is having encroachment in this hemisphere, in Africa, all over the world. They are trying to act like the world's leading superpower. They are trying to exert their values and their way of life all over the world. That used to be our job. And I think what Donald Trump is saying here is, I don't want this in my backyard. America is the world's superpower. More America is better. And I'm sending a message that I'm not going to put up with this sort of creeping Chinese influence in my own backyard.
Help me with this thinking though, really quick. And Karen, I'll bring you in a second. But if it angers Panama, if it hurts relations with Panama, the calculation is it won't and it doesn't matter?
Do I care if Panama is angry? What is Van Halen going to come and be upset about it? I mean, honestly, I need them to understand, and Donald Trump needs them to understand that we are the dominant superpower in this hemisphere, and he needs to have a conversation with them about that. And I hope that he does. And yes, they are an ally, but this is a vital thing, this Panama Canal. But I'm just telling you, the encroachment of Chinese influence around the world must be stopped. And if Donald Trump's getting serious about that, that's a good thing. Yes, we need Greenland. Greenland is an amazing thing to have. It's like, you ever play Monopoly? You know, like the first row of properties, you're like, they're cheap. Maybe I don't need. You need those. Those are vital properties. I am for Greenland. I wanted him to do it before. I want him to do it now. And I am personally and on television applying to be the military governor of Greenland if, in fact, we do take control of it. This is an amazing idea, and I know everybody's laughing about it, but if he accomplishes this in 4 years, it'll be a great legacy piece for Donald Trump. I think we ought to all look at this as a wise decision, a good decision, and for everybody out there wanting Trump to pivot or change or somehow whatever you want him to do, he just won a mandate from the American people to execute on the program that he laid out in this election. It wasn't particularly close. And I think he ought to put people in place who are going to do it. That's what the people
will go
are
after
asking
his
for.
enemies. I mean, that's
not what he ran on.
Yes, he did. It is explicitly
That's not what he ran on. That's not what he ran on.
Look at what he said in the past week. He literally said that he was going to exact vengeance.
You still don't understand how you lost. He ran on immigration.
Don't say me. I'm not a Democrat.
He ran on immigration.
I'm a journalist.
He ran on inflation.
I'm not here paid to represent one of the many things he ran on in addition to.
He ran on the issues that people care about. He ran on the economy. He ran on
nobody's saying that he didn't run on those things, but he also ran on vengeance.
Yes.
He did also run on going after the people who went after him.
And journalists.
It was a key feature of all of his speeches.
Yes, Scott, he literally said, I am your retribution. The Biden crime family, lock her up. Went after Sessions repeatedly for not doing what he wanted Sessions to do, which was to indict Hillary or whoever he wanted to indict.
You can want his campaign to have been about, tax reform and things like that. That is not what he said on the stump. Time after time after time.
Also
he talked about going after his enemies.
I'm heartened by the fact that the left still cannot figure this out.
Even if you just take the January.
That's just not what his campaign was about.
Well,
That's not what he has indicated.
With all due respect, I've run more campaigns than you, and I know what campaigns are about, and I know why people walk into voting booths.
Why people walk into voting booths and what Trump plans to do when handed the presidency are two different things.
Well, here's some truth. Gen X has delivered Donald Trump to the White House. My people. We came before the internet, your people too.
Boo.
Before we bubble wrap society, we shrug off most things. We aren't sure why everyone is offended by everything. We're all Hulkamaniacs. We took the reins of this election to steer America back on track and out of the BS. We love rebels, we love innovators, we love disruptors. Does this sound like anyone you know? From Gen X, the message is clear. We're not putting up with it anymore, so you're welcome, America.
Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, ring that notification bell so you get notified anytime I post a new video. If you like what I'm doing over here and you want to show a little extra love and support, make sure you go check out our website down below in the description section. That way you can get all the awesome shirts and hoodies you see me wearing in every single video, as well as some pretty sweet tumblers and cups. They're all made by my smoking hot wife with tons of different designs to choose from. I like my clothes baggy in the winter, so you got a little extra room to move and groove. That's just what feels gooder than chicken to me, but we got all different sizes ranging from itty bitty extra small to big and hefty 5X, a bunch of colors. I guarantee we got something that you'll like, or at least a great gift for someone that you love. Outside of that, you can always show support by buying me a coffee, joining the Patreon community. You can become a member of the Gibson family here on YouTube by tapping that join button. All those links are always down below in the description section. By no means do you have to do any of that. Just showing up and watching my freckle face on your screens for a few minutes, I am greatly appreciative. I love y'all, and I cannot thank you enough for rocking with me throughout the years. I think I posted my first video on this channel 7-8 years ago, and you have literally changed my life, my family's life for the better. I just can't put into context how grateful I am for y'all. And I know we get into some tangents and some long rants sometimes, and I get fired up. That's how I like it, and that's how y'all seem to like it as well. But just thank you from the bottom of my heart. But until next time, I'll be praying for you. Godspeed. I'm gone.